women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. And I know that because I was doing it for quite a while. And then about, a little over a year ago now, I went on a medication that completely destroyed my health. But you know what? I know what to do. So I'm determined to rebuild. Um, but so, first, an update. I was supposed to be in Texas today. Technically, I was supposed to be in Texas yesterday. But Saturday morning at about, I guess, 1 o'clock, my phone rang. It was my sister in law. Well, she knows I go to bed early. So I'm like, okay, it must be a butt dial. So I just hit the decline button and I texted her, "Are you okay?" And she called me right back. So, of course, I answered and she was crying. And she said, "No, I'm not okay. I fell down the stairs. I have two broken arms and stitches in my face." Oh my God, where are you? So she lives a 2 hour drive from town, and she took an ambulance because what else is she gonna do? Wait for me to get drive 2 hours to go pick her up and then drive her 2 hours further. So she called an ambulance. So she fell about 5 p.m. So she calls me at 1. I finally get her back to my house around 3 in the morning. And the poor girl, she has I might get the arms backwards here, but I believe it's her right wrist is broken, and they told her it's probably going to need pins. So she's got to call an orthopedic person today. And then her left arm, she fractured her elbow and dislocated it. So she's in for a hell of a long recovery. But I immediately dropped everything. My brother was out of town. He works out in the bush. He was out of town, of course, but I dropped everything and brought her home, got her all squared away, kept her as comfortable as I possibly could. But think about the implications of two broken arms. She's completely helpless. Fortunately, her and my brother it's not the most conventional relationship, but it really works for them and they freaking adore each other. So he got out of the bush and called me Saturday night. And he's like, "Look, I'm sorry I didn't make it into town. I'll be there in the morning," and kind of gave me an update as to what was going on. And I said, "Well, we need to sit down and discuss a game plan." He said, "No, we don't. There's no game plan to be made. I rearranged my schedule. I canceled all the rest of my clients for the spring and I'm going to take care of her." And I got to tell you, this is the brother I'm closest to anyway, but my respect for him went through the roof. Although I do know men, I did grow up with brothers. So I asked her, "Is he going to take care of you or do you need me to come down?" She said, "No, he'll take care of me." So that is why I'm in Alaska and not in Texas. And don't misunderstand me. I'm very, very grateful that the way this played out, that I was still here, that I hadn't left yet. And, I'll get out of town. It's just a little delayed. Ain't no big thing, but I am disappointed. Anyway, so there's the update. I'm still in Alaska. I'm probably not going to, based on what it costs to get out of here sooner, I'm probably not going to get out of here till the end of this month, which is pretty frustrating, but you know what? It is what it is. Anyway, let's talk about chronic illness and social media. I always find this really a fascinating thing because I guess I don't know if I'm certainly not an activist, but I would say I'm an advocate for other people who deal with this stuff. I always want to help people. I always want them, look, if you need someone to talk to about it, I'm available. And I try to be really responsive because I know how isolating all of this is and how hard all of this is. But it'll blow my mind how often I will have interacted with somebody, sometimes for a couple of years, before they'll tell me they have health issues. And when they do, I'm always like, whoa. And I used to get upset. Why the hell didn't they tell me? They know I understand. But from dealing with this for so long, I do understand why people are reluctant to talk about it. So let's dive into that today. This information is from a website called themighty.com, and the Mighty can be an excellent resource if you're dealing with health issues and or disabilities. So why do people hesitate? Well, there's a lot of reasons. But when we say anything, people assume that we're seeking attention. Maybe sometimes, sure, you get lonely. This stuff is isolating. It gets really freaking lonely. Sometimes, sure, people think that we're melodramatic. Yeah, if I were to like sit down and tell you everything that hurt, these are my symptoms, that would be definitely a reason for you to perceive me as being melodramatic. But me just telling you that, oh man, it's a high pain day, that's not being melodramatic. And if you take it as such, well, I guess that's your problem, not mine. People think we're ungrateful. Oh my gosh. I'm one of the most grateful people alive because I came this close to being a bedridden pill popper. And the fact that I am healthy enough with all the crap I've got going on, I'm still healthy enough to make the choice to get off my ass and exercise every day. You have no idea how grateful I am for that. I'm grateful that with all of this that I deal with, I choose, not perfect at it, but I choose to look at the bright side. Look, I could be furious that my trip was ruined. You know what? My return itinerary sucked anyway, so I have a chance to rebook it and do a better job. There's no point crying over spilt milk, you know? But anyway, we're not ungrateful. Whiny? Yeah, I'll own that. Sometimes I am whiny. You deal with this crap and see how whiny you get. Lacking faith. No, my faith is the only thing literally that gets me through all of this. This past year, if I didn't have faith, I would have been completely sunk because that medication just flat. I know, okay, now this sounds melodramatic, but it's the truth. It flat destroyed my health, which wasn't great when I started taking it. People think that we're weak. Physically, yeah, I got a lot of freaking health problems. Mentally, I don't care how cocky it sounds. I'll put my mental toughness up against damn near anybody's. I've been through a lot in my life, not just the health issues. I've overcome things that most people can't, and that's just a fact. We're not weak. If you had to deal with this crap all the time, you would never use that. You'd never think we were weak. People think we're crazy. Yeah, there might be a little truth to that. Again, you deal with this stuff. See how well it does your mental health. Chronic pain erodes your soul. It just does. People are reluctant to talk about it because there's a lot of sadness involved. Our lives have changed drastically. We didn't ask for this. Nobody asked for this. Little things, little tasks can just become, I don't want to say insurmountable, but they're enormous and they can take a tremendous toll. I like to have my bathroom really, really clean. I know when I go in and scour it from top to bottom, it's not a big bathroom. It doesn't really take that long. It's usually enough to throw my body into a temper tantrum. Think about that. Think about everything, literally every chore that you want to do. You have to consider the implications of, okay, if I do this, what's this going to mean for me in an hour, in 2 hours, in a day? My whole life and everybody in this situation, our lives are just, we're on a tightrope. We have to be careful. We got to get enough done to keep ourselves happy or at least content, to give ourselves a sense of purpose. But we can't do so much that we topple over into a bad flare. We grieve for our former lives. Now, I will tell you, I don't have a lot of grief for my former life because, frankly, I was not the nicest person when all this started. I used to be angry and bitter before this started. I don't want to be that person again, but you know what I want back? I want my flippin' health back. I definitely grieve the loss of that. Look, if you're the one dealing with this stuff, you have every right to be pissed off. You have every right to grieve. You have every right to rage. You have every right to cry. But you can't live there. You can't live there because it's self-fulfilling. When you focus on that, you just be look, again, I could focus on the fact my trip had to be delayed. And I could really work myself up. You know, it snowed here yesterday. It's like, I think 70, 80 degrees in Texas. I would rather be in the 70 to 80 degrees. But I choose to focus on the positives of the situation. And, you know, being here for her, she's been one of my best friends for decades. But being here for her and helping her at her most vulnerable, that deepened our relationship. I'm grateful for that. You got to find your silver linings. There's very few situations that don't have some sort of bonus to it. Worst case scenario, whatever you went through, and as horrible as it was, you learned something. At least I hope you did. Anyway, There's a lot of sadness. We know that we're letting people around us down. Hell, we let ourselves down constantly. We can't do the things that we want to do. We can't do the things that are expected of us. That's just the way it goes. Our worlds shrink so very much. It's crazy. And it shrinks because of my next point, judgment. People don't want to talk about it because healthy people can be really judgmental. Now, when people come to me and say things, I try to always give someone the benefit of the doubt. And I assume if there's wiggle room, I'm going to assume that you mean well, even if you're coming at me inelegantly. But the one thing that always gets me is when people tell me, well, everybody hurts sometimes. Well, no shit. You don't think I'm aware of that? But if you think an occasional ache and pain is anything like literally years and years of it, you're kind of a well, you're not kind of, you're a shallow person. I know it's hard for y'all to understand. And I know sometimes you're trying to build a bridge of understanding. I didn't mean to use that word twice in a row, but I know I assume that's usually the intention. Just try to think of how you would feel. Literally employ the golden rule, do unto others. If you were in my shoes, how would you want someone to talk to you? People can be so belittling. People can be so belittling. My favorite is when people say, well, you'd be better off if you just fill in the blank, ate better, exercise more, lost weight, whatever it is. I guarantee you, we have had those conversations multiple times, quite often, with our healthcare professionals. We don't need you. Frankly, we don't need you to point out flippin' glaringly obvious. We know. Look, I know my nutrition could be better. I know it needs to be better, but you know what? It's a hell of a lot better than it used to be. I focus on that instead of berating myself nonstop that it's not where it quote should be. I hate air quotes. I can't believe I just did that. But um, if you have to make a suggestion to somebody, if someone you know is dealing with all this and you're like, oh, but I just know this is going to help, don't approach them and say, you would feel better if you just approach them and say something like, hey, look, you've probably already heard about this, but I saw this and I just thought of you. When people come to me kindly, I don't care if I've heard the same thing 1,000 times. Look, I would rather hear it 1,000 times than have everybody assume that I've heard it and not hear it at all. But just be kind. I know on social media, right? A lot of people don't talk about it because of a fear of rejection. Look, we don't get out much. Social media for a lot of us, I live in Alaska most of the time. The weather sucks for like 7 months a year. And I mean, sucks to the point I don't want to be outside. I don't have much of a life here. Social media is essentially, God, that's so sad, isn't it? But it is my social life. And when I go on there and people I mean, I don't, at this point in it, I really don't give a damn what people say. I don't. Sometimes someone will get to me, but generally, yeah, interesting perspective. Have a nice day. And I move on. Or I'll tell them to have the day they deserve, which is a little bitchy, but that's all right. Gives them something to think about. But, you know, I went through years where I refused to make plans at all with people because if I had to cancel, there was so much judgment involved. Oh my God, are you canceling again? You're such a flake. So sorry that my chronic health issues are very inconvenient for you. If you have plans with someone and you know they've got health issues and they can't make it, now obviously if it's a once in a lifetime event, go and enjoy the hell out of it. But if it was just you guys are going to go to dinner and a movie or something, why don't you offer, hey, I'm sorry you don't feel good. How about I go and pick up your favorite dinner and I'll come by and just keep you company and then go be a low maintenance guest. You wait on them. Don't make them wait on you. And I can assure you that would not happen in my house. I would escort you out very quickly, but um just be kind, be thoughtful. Look, if I didn't want to make plans with you, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't have made the plans in the first place. Us canceling plans, it's not about you. That shouldn't have to be said, but here we are. And I know everyone's got their own insecurities. I get that. But have a little grace for goodness sakes. Those of us who do post, we're just looking for friendship and fellowship. We don't want to be forgotten about. We need a sounding block. Sometimes Sometimes I just scream into the void 'cause I don't know what the hell else to do, and social media is great for that. Anyway, this is longer than I intended it to be. That's what's going on in my world. I'm still in Alaska. I'm gonna be in Alaska for I don't know how long. Um, there's a lot of factors I have to consider to get out of town. But Alaska Airlines, always give them a shout out. If you ever have to fly, I highly recommend Alaska Airlines. I have flown many airlines over the years. No, I do not get paid for this, although some free miles would be nice, but they are my favorite airlines. And when I called them, I was like, look, it's your family emergency. I have to cancel my flight. I said, how soon am I going to see the refund? And so we discussed how I wanted the refund. I said, to put it in my Apple wallet. And the young man was very polite. He's very, I'm sorry that something came up. And he said, I'll put this request through. He said, technically, we have up to 7 business days. He said, but you should see it a lot sooner than that. And so I asked him for an estimate, and he said, well, no, it's the weekend, so probably not until Monday or Tuesday. Well, I got to tell y'all, I was floored when I checked at like 5 o'clock this morning, and they already had it in there. Their headquarters are in Seattle. They're an hour ahead of me here in Alaska. So kudos to Alaska Airlines for the very prompt credit into my Alaska Airlines wallet. Anyway, that's enough Alaska Airlines promotion. Y'all have a wonderful day. I will be back Wednesday at 11 o'clock Alaska time. Thanks.